And James McCourt here, the royal expert. We're talking all things baby Sussex.
So potentially he could do a quick hop across, the ocean there and get to...
forget that. It sounds so far to us.
No, I mean, it's super quick.
It does. And I feel like, Meghan, of course, this is a great cause. Mm-hmm. Go on, do what you have to do. I know he's going to miss that baby, though.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I think he would find it very hard not to be there.
Exactly.
Just because he launched the games himself. It's very close to his heart. And she is super into all the charities as well and into the Invictus Games that she's attended before with him. So I'm sure if he can go, then he will do. She's got Doria there. Doria apparently had taken baby classes in LA to learn remind herself how to deal with a newborn. Yeah. So she's like up to speed.
Well, we're going to talk about Doria in a minute once we come back.
And then we expect her to be there for at least a few weeks. I think during the initial stages, of this new little boy coming into the world and sharing with her motherly expertise, I guess.
Yeah.
And
it's her first grandchild.
Yeah, it's her first grandchild. It's Meghan's only family member that's in the UK. I think she'll probably want her to remain there as long as she can. I don't think there are plans for her to move there as far as we know at the moment, but I think she'll be back and forth quite a lot.
Let me tell you something, James. This is something, so I've got a couple nieces and nephews now. When my parents became grandparents, I remember my dad said to me, it's like you wind up moving to where your grandkids are. So I would not be surprised to see Doria get a little place there in England. What do the people of England think about Doria?
They love her. No, we like the normality of it all. We really do. It's quite refreshing for us, because in the past we always have seen the royals as quite stuffy and old-fashioned and all pomp and circumstance, but not always that relatable. I think that's where Meghan and Harry have really broken the mould. They're more like us, aren't they? You know what I mean? And I think that includes Doria as well. The fact she still goes to yoga class and she actually trained for the marathon last year with my cleaning lady.
Are you serious?
She was like, that I trained for the marathon with her, and I go, really? Yeah.
Wow.
She's like, people were saying we shouldn't have photos taken with her, and I never knew why. And she said, I finally asked, and they said, it's actually Meghan's mother. That's why.
Hold on a second. Does that make you, 2 steps removed?
I know.
2 or 3 steps removed from
maybe
Meghan?
I need to train this year and see if she goes again.
Come on.
Maybe.
Yeah. Apparently she was absolutely lovely. Really, really nice person. So, yeah.
She's been a part of Meghan's milestones, honestly, since the beginning of this entire trip. From riding in the car at the wedding, the announcement of the baby. Now she's here. I really do think she's going to make that move.
Do you? You think she's going to move over permanently?
I feel like she is. I mean, she's played a huge role in this whole process.
Because there was talk at one bit of, we could imagine Harry and Meghan maybe getting a place in LA or in the US. So, I mean, I don't know what you think about that. I think it's a possibility. I can't imagine them moving here full time.
Yeah, it's a little hard for me to imagine. LA is so fast-paced, you can't get anywhere quickly, it's very stuffy, and I can imagine, like, in England and, in London, they have a little more space, a little more privacy. Yeah. I can just imagine that raising a child there would just be so much easier than doing it here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would do. And I suppose it's a different kind of spotlight here, isn't it? It's a more celebrity spotlight, whereas they're maybe a little more respected as the royals there in the UK, just because we grow up with them. We've had the royal family all our lives. But yeah, I think once they come to LA or to the US, they're then seen more like celebrities and treated that way, and probably followed a bit more with the paparazzi and what have you. So, yeah, although our press can be a little vicious, as you know, in the UK as well.
We know. Well, maybe you can kind of clarify these reports. I know that there were some people saying that they aren't going to have a nanny. That's why I assumed that Doria would be a part of...
I actually read that when they are possibly going to go on this trip to Africa, that is loosely scheduled, I think, for in about 3 or 4 months' time, that they might be taking someone with them there to look after the child. But I'd also read a Manny as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of popular with quite a few celebrities.
Yeah.
I think Britney Spears had a Manny and stuff. But yeah, I could see that as well. I think Prince Harry's nanny, who they always said was more kind of a tomboy character, taught them how to fish and shoot and things like that. So, maybe a bit of more of a hands-on nanny that does all that kind of outdoor activity stuff, or a Manny maybe, possibly.
I'm into that. I really like that a nanny was teaching Prince Harry to fish and shoot.
Yeah.
That's kind of amazing. I mean, listen, for all the duties they have in the appearances, like we're talking about the Invictus Games and potentially this trip to Africa, it's unthinkable to me that they wouldn't go with people just to help. They
have to. I mean, I think it would be exhausting, yeah. But, I mean, and so they're only going to get busier. They're probably one of the most charity-heavy couples in the whole of the royal family already. I mean, even their Instagram account, they've got 16 different charities that they're championing every single month, and they're going to change the 16 charities. I'm not quite sure why it's 16, but anyway, great, that they're doing that. And even even with the baby gifts, they've on April 5th, they released a statement on their Instagram which directed us to 4 different charities where we could send gifts if we wanted to, which would then be distributed to children in need. Wow. Rather than send them randomly to them and them not actually get the gifts and it all being a waste, So they're super into their charities. It's really smart, and that's exactly what she's been all about all her life, I think, Meghan. So she's just continuing that in a new role as a royal. So it's good to see.
Look, who could ever dream of the fact that one day I might date a man who's a prince and become this royal and have this life?
This is the dream, isn't it?
Possible, yeah.
It's
because she's so normal, interracial couple, she's a divorcee, all of those things at one time you would have said are stacked against her. She'll never, make it into the royal family. And then this now has happened, and it's that real nothing to princess story like you see in a fairy tale film or something.
I believe in fairy tales now, officially.
And now all you need to do is start training for the marathon.
I know.
Right. You're going to get in
Best friends Victoria.
And then next time we'll do this interview, you'll tell us about hanging out with Meghan and Harry.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I always ask if people know her. I was at a gathering yesterday and somebody went, oh, yeah, I used to write for her blog, The Tig. And I said, did you hang out with her? They said, yeah, she was really nice. I have to say it's one of the first positive stories I've heard about her, not to get too controversial. I've heard a few negative ones. Don't believe everything I hear, obviously, but this was actually nice to hear some nice stories about her. Said she was super kind, really very interested in what he did. He wrote some travel stuff for her blog, The Tig. So, I think it's nice. I'd like to believe she's a nice girl. And
I think so, too. I feel like with celebrities, people have their days, and sometimes you catch them on their off days, and then some people always want to say celebrities.
Listen, over the weekend there was that negative story about him apparently going mad at people at the palace just before the wedding because she wanted a macrobiotic bowl to be served at the wedding. And when she tasted it, she said she could taste egg in it and upset some of the royal staff and was given a dressing down by the Queen, who said you can't talk to staff like that. Now, whether any of that's true, who knows?
Right.
But maybe no smoke without fire. But even if she did do that, let's not forget her father had just told her that he's not going to come to the UK and walk her down the aisle anymore. Like, she's under quite a lot of stress.
Oh, my God.
Just before that wedding. So she had a bit of an off day.
And it's her wedding.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I could be a bridezilla on my wedding day.
Yeah.
One day you get away with it.
That now means that the new royal baby does slot in exactly where they're supposed to in age order and in order of the children. Yeah. So 7th in line to the throne. That's where we're at. So behind, obviously, Prince Charles, then we've got Prince William, then we've got Prince George, then we've got Charlotte, then we've got Louis, then we've got the new royal baby. I think I'm right there. Did I miss one?
We got Harry of Wales here.
Oh, yeah, Harry, of course.
Harry, baby's dad, at number 6.
Yeah, there you go.
And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but the title.
Yes, that's
right. The baby's title. So, as of right now, what is the baby's title?
So, let's step back just a second.
Okay.
The old rules were that normally this Earl, who will be the Earl of what did you say?
Earl of Dumbarton.
Earl of Dumbarton, who currently unnamed,
Yeah.
wouldn't normally receive the title of Prince.
Right.
But the Queen did that for William, named his children
That's
Prince
right.
and Princess.
That's right. That doesn't affect Harry and Meghan. It would have to be done again officially by the Queen, yes. She issues what's called a letters patent, or like a royal decree, where she says your child, or she may choose to make it all of your children from now on, will be automatically princes and princesses. But not everybody's done that. The Countess of Wessex, Prince Edward, their children, they've not made them princes and princesses. Princess Anne, the Queen's daughter, her children are just their regular names. They're not princes, princesses, or dukes, or duchesses, or any of that. And I think that's just because they wanted their kids to have a more normal upbringing, as normal as possible when you're in the royal family. So maybe Meghan and Harry will want to do the same thing. I kind of can't blame them if they do that. But
I can't either. And when you say normal, it just rings a bell in my head of they've been trying to make their lives as normal as possible.
Yes.
So I can see where you're going with that. I don't know if they're going to choose it either.
Yeah, I think if any royal couple are going to do it, I would imagine that this one might do.
It's also hard for me to imagine that the simple designation or simple title of Prince, whether or not that's in the child's name or not, is going to affect their life that much.
Yeah,
they're going to be under scrutiny, obviously, from day one here.
I know, I agree with you. Apparently, they say it does in some way or another. I would agree with you, though. I think because of the interest in them and the fact they're going to be all over the press all their lives. I wouldn't think it would make that much different, but it has been a choice that's been made by, like I say, some of the royals in the past. So,
well, I have a question, and I don't know if this is kind of just my thoughts here. If the title is Prince, and if it's not, does that change anything when it comes to the baby's role that they will play?
No, I think they would still have a royal role, and duties. I think, it just makes it a bit more official,
Right.
It means that they're going to be seen as a more traditional member of the royal family. And I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe certain, openings of galleries and hospitals and the kind of things that they have to do, there'd be a bit more of that if they were a prince. But no, I don't think it will change the duties. I think they're still going to have a diary of certain royal duties that they're expected to fulfil. And of course, Meghan and Harry will be back doing that as soon as they can. And and there's, like I've said before, almost always related to charities in some way.
Right.
They're really into their sort of causes.
We're already talking about him potentially picking it back up with the Invictus Games on Thursday.
That's right.
We got about Jessica Mulrooney.
Her bestie.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I've not really given that too much thought because I've been going in my head to celebrity names. I suppose she is a kind of minor celebrity in her own right. I mean, I could kind of see that. I think they'll definitely probably shy away from any royal family members as godparents the same way William and Kate did. That seems to be the normal thing at the moment. So, I could see it.
Jessica's a good choice. They've been friends for 8 years. Her kids were in their wedding. So, why not? Benita Litt is also someone who has been friends with Meghan for a long time.
And the fact that maybe she's had this animosity with her family and she's relying only on her mother now, maybe she will want people she's known a long time because she doesn't have many family members left in her life around her and around her children, and would think that they're the people that she feels are a good influence or could be a good influence on the kids. So, I mean, I wonder whether she'll have some from the UK and some from the US. I mean, I think if they're all US-based, the kids are not really going to see them that much.
It's difficult.
Assuming they're based in the UK. So, I could imagine a mix maybe between the two.
I would absolutely imagine a mix. Plus, it's one of those things you want to make the title, but also make use of it. And so that would require the person to be there. One of the people who's based in the U.S., but also a celebrity, Serena Williams. Her and Meghan met at the Super Bowl a few years ago. They're very close. We know Serena was at the baby shower in New York.
They immediately hit up.
Was her name on your list? Did you think?
Yes, she was in my little list, as was Beyonce. But I don't know if that's just in my own head that I'm hoping in my head. Oh dear.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we see right here, this is Meghan on the left and then Serena right there in the middle. This was all the way back, I want to say, in 2014. They were competing in DirecTV's Celebrity Beach Bowl here. So they've been friends for a while. I think Serena is a great choice. She also gave Meghan some advice, you know, for the new baby. So why not? Let's go ahead and get into godfathers.
Okay.
Right? We already talked about godmoms. Let's talk about godfathers. Jake Warren, he and Harry have been long life friends. And something that's great about Jake and Harry is that Prince Harry's the godfather of Jake's daughter.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, and that would kind of fall into line with the sort of people that that William and Kate have chosen. They're very close friends of theirs that they've known a long time. I could imagine that. I don't think that Harry will go for any one sort of celebrity. He wouldn't be his choice of a celebrity. No. He will go for like a lifelong friend. Yeah, I could see that definitely. It's got to be people that have known them a long time and are not in any way kind of swayed or influenced or. Not a fan, or you know what I mean? Not loving the celebrity of it all. Real friends, I think. Rather than people that are new on the scene, kind of a thing. So I think if they do go celebrity, it will be because they're very close friends as well, not just because it's a celebrity.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, another one of Harry's close friends, Tom Inskip. I guess they all call him Skippy. Some people say he was Harry's wingman for a while.
Well, I don't know that Meghan's overly keen on Skippy, though, is she? I think there's been a bit of a standoff there where she's tried to sort of rub him out of Harry's life a little bit. Yeah, I think maybe when back in the day, around the time he was off to Vegas was it 2013, stripping off in the hotel and all of that. I think Skippy was on the scene then, and so maybe Meghan just sees him as a little bit of a danger, a little red flag up there with Skippy. But I don't know. I mean, if it's down to Harry, yes, I could see it. But I don't know what.
Skippy might have to be skipped.
I know.
That's a Tanner joke. Wow. You didn't catch it, Tanner.
Oh, man. I just feel bad for him. I mean, come on. He's the wingman. He was there for you in your time of need.
Well, look, he may just not be the right person at this time in Harry's life. Let's talk about Marcus Anderson, who is really close with Meghan Markle, and there's rumors that he actually connected Harry and Meghan.
Yeah, that's never been sort of officially stated, has it, who made the big intro? But it could have been Marcus, you're right. Yeah. I mean, mean, another great choice, someone that's known her a long time. I think having someone from around that time when they met, Harry and Meghan met, would be great. Another good choice, yeah. All of these are great, I think.
Yeah. Just to provide a little extra context for Marcus Anderson there, he himself is not a celebrity. It's rumored that he introduced Harry and Meghan. He's actually a consultant to the Soho House, which is where the Duke and Duchess are said to have had their first date. And so the idea is, or the theory is, that Harry was visiting Canada, which is where Meghan was filming Suits,
right?
And that Marcus there sort of put that connection together. Although we don't know
was that the
sure.
Toronto Soho House thing?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's a nice place. Very nice place to be first date. Lovely.
Yeah. Absolutely, bro.
Well, it makes sense. We're just throwing names out there. Maybe we'll be right.
Yeah, no, exactly. I honestly think probably one celebrity will be in there. I really do.
Who's that? Who would be your top pick besides Beyonce?
Well, if I could choose, like an Oprah would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. Right, or Gayle King.
Yes,
they're all super
They're very close apparently. Yeah. So either of those two, I think, would be great. Yeah. First, put my money on it.
Any celebrity Godfather ideas, or
have I got any?
Yeah, I mean,
any other ones?
For the Godfather.
No, not really. No big names in the UK. I don't know that they don't seem to hang in like massive celebrity circles in the UK. It seems to be Meghan that's brought that side of things into the relationship, brought all the celebs with her. I don't know that Harry really ever hung out with any well-known celebs in the UK. It's different over there as well because the royals tend to hang out in those sort of very sort of high-class social circles and in those places where those people go. So it's not such a mix, whereas if you're in LA and you're out and about in the bars, restaurants and things, it's normal to see a big movie star out in a normal restaurant, isn't it, and hobnobbing with people. But it doesn't really happen like that in the UK. It is a little bit more segregated. There is that sort of hierarchy, that class hierarchy in the UK.
There it is.
Yeah.
Maybe Oprah. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
Let's try to get another American in here, guys. Come on. Going for it.
Make our way in there. All right. We are here with James McCourt.
She's a divorcee, which was a huge no-no not so long ago, especially with the Church of England, who, of course, the Queen is the head of. They still have to get special permission to marry when they're a divorcee, especially when the partner is still living, but they got that permission. And also a commoner. I mean, you think when Kate married into the royal family, we were all up in arms about the fact she was a commoner, just a normal person.
Right.
Meghan's broken so many more barriers already than that. And I just think just the visual of seeing this baby will be incredible. The two different cultures, the two different worlds married with this baby. It's a really interesting time, and I think an exciting time for the country and for the royals and for the world, really, Yeah,
well, I'm thinking, is this baby going to follow after its mother? I mean, Meghan Markle, she's not been afraid to break royal protocol with things like, as you said earlier, rocking black nail polish or messy buns or not wearing the right stockings.
Ripped jeans, I mean, it's like, then off the shoulder there, look. And wearing black, actually, on that occasion. And black was traditionally only for funerals for the royals, and it was sort of slightly looked down upon if you wore black to any other event, but she's worn black numerous occasions now, not worn the nylon stockings, which people were like, ooh.
Right.
Well, I think so much of it's cultural, talking about Meghan. Meghan is American. She's from Los Angeles. She worked in the entertainment industry. It's a very rule-breaking culture here versus Harry, like, growing up in the rules. We were talking about earlier, sort of between breaks here, about how, William, from a very early age, was sort of told what his role was going to be. And one day he would be king, and there's an expectation there. Versus Harry, he was sort of told the opposite. And so for him, it's been very different. So I feel like the rule-breaking pattern for him and Meghan seems just natural.
They're a match,
You're absolutely right. I think, as far as we know, from a very young age, Diana introduced the idea to William that he would be king one day and explained to him what that meant. And he grew up knowing that. Although, obviously, she tried to lead as much of a normal life with the kids as she could and do normal things with them. Harry knew straight away he wasn't going to be directly in line to the throne. And you could see him at one point, especially in 2013, when he was, like I've mentioned before, off in Vegas being a little crazy. And, there was a story about him going to a costume party wearing like a Nazi soldier costume, which didn't go down well at all, as you can imagine. So he made some missteps. And you could imagine him going the way of the Queen's sister, Princess Margaret, who was super into partying, drank heavily, smoked a lot, because, again, I think she knew she wasn't in line to the throne and rebelled against being trapped inside the palace, and was more restricted than probably, Harry even has been. So we were worried that he was going to go that direction, but it seems meeting Meghan has put him back on the straight and narrow, and, he's cleaned up his act and started the Invictus Games, and, in just a few years, he's really changed his whole I don't know, his reputation, I guess, and he's repaired like any little issues he had before. So, yeah, I'm pleased for him.
Well, I was going to say is I feel like this sort of rule breaking, and now in this sort of adult, more mature Harry that we're getting since he's married Meghan, I would imagine that this sort of rule breaking or stepping outside of the norms is something we're also going to see in their parenting.
Right.
I would expect how this child is dressed and the pictures that we wind up getting.
The name.
Yeah, and maybe the name. It's not going to be a girl now because we were all like banking on Allegra or something like that. But I mean, I don't know for a boy's name. In the top 10, it's mostly quite traditional names. And the bookmakers in the UK have been taking bets, obviously. It's all of your Charleses and your Jameses and things like that. But no unusual names. But I at least think probably the middle name will be something a little bit out of the ordinary and maybe something that nobody has thought of at all.
I think so. I'm with you on that, James. I think it's going to be a name that no one is thinking about.
Probably not Trevor, her ex-husband's name.
Probably not.
I think we can strike that one off the list.
Take that one right off the book.
Yep.
So, I think she will continue to push and you know, not break the rules, but bend the rules, should we say, and do it as much as she can without upsetting the Queen, because she knows the Queen's a real traditionalist and likes things a certain way. But obviously, Meghan has to be herself, and like you say, she is from America. She's Californian, and she's got to be allowed to embrace her own culture a little bit as well.
Agree.
We know that Meghan and Harry will not pose for photos with baby Sussex like Princess Diana and Kate Middleton did. Instead, they're going to share photos taken on the grounds of Windsor Castle at a later date. I think that's coming up in 2 days. They're supposed to make their first sort of their first presentation. A source tells ET Meghan doesn't want the pressure of having to pose on the steps for cameras so soon after childbirth, which seems natural. While the couple is extremely excited for the birth of their first child, they intend to, quote, enjoy the magic of childhood without any undue expectations.
I love that. And I'm so glad that we got a message from Harry this morning. That really was enough for me right now.
Yeah, well, he looked like he was tearing up, didn't he?
He was so excited.
So sweet.
What was your thoughts when you first saw that video?
I loved it, you know, and I love the fact he gave a little nod to women in general, just like the amazing thing that they go through when they have a child. And I was with a couple of other hosts this morning. They were both ladies, and they were like, who've had kids, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, thank you!" Like, yes, yes, it's so true. But that's another reason I think why Meghan did not want to do the royal reveal, which came into play really with Princess Diana. You know, she did it with William and Harry on the steps of the Lindo wing outside the hospital within a few hours of having both of them. And Kate's followed suit and by tradition done the same thing. But it's quite a new tradition, really, and I totally see why Meghan would want a little extra time to bond with the baby, to recover, to get some sleep, hopefully.
Well, especially in the modern era, when we have the social media and we have Instagram, because any photo that they want to take, they can put out on their own Instagram and have control over it, do it in an environment where Meghan's comfortable, give her the time to get comfortable, and not have to worry about taking it for hundreds of members of the press.
Yes, absolutely, and I feel they did the right thing. You know, the palace released a statement saying she'd gone into labour, which they didn't have to do, really, when they said they wanted a private birth. And then as soon as the baby was born, pretty much, the post went up on Instagram to their 6 million followers saying, it's a boy. So we knew immediately what sex it was, and we knew the time of the birth, we knew the weight of the birth. I think that's all we need to know, to let us feel involved, which we want to, especially the Brits, but without having to do the photo opportunity. I thought what Harry did this morning was absolutely perfect, and it really showed his genuine side again, which is why we love him so much. And they did say, the betting on even the royal names has been as much as the other 3 children of William and Kate combined.
Really?
So that's how much more popular they are. And I do wonder, firstly, maybe it's because of the US connection.
Sure.
And also maybe just because there is that slightly celebrity element to this.
We are a country of gamblers, though. So, just speculating if this baby picks up any of the habits of Meghan and Harry. Baby Sussex is going to love to travel.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, when the pregnancy was announced, they were just touching down in Australia, weren't they?
Right.
So they've travelled right from the very beginning. And they're talking about maybe going to Africa in 3 months or something, maybe even a little less, on a charity mission over there to some of the Commonwealth countries. So travel's a big thing for them. I don't know, maybe they'll change their mind once they've had a newborn for a little while and they're exhausted.
I imagine these travel plans will change.
Well, there's a lot of conversation online about passports. With a British father and American mother, what type of passport would this baby have, or does the infant even need a passport?
Yeah, well, as far as we know, the royals do need passports, and we know that the only person that doesn't officially need a passport is the Queen, because passports are issued in her name. I don't know if you've ever seen a British passport.
I actually haven't seen a British
There's a whole thing in the front, like a whole sort of section where it talks to you about being a British subject, and yeah, it's quite fun.
Wow.
Kind of real traditional, old-fashioned, but very nice, nicely done. So yeah, they would have passports. The newborn, the little boy will have a British passport, won't have an American passport unless they choose to register the birth with the US consulate in London, which they can do because Meghan has spent longer than 5 years in the US and is an American citizen. And then it could get an American passport as well. We're not sure if that will happen. There was talk at one point that she might give up her US citizenship, in fact, and just be a British citizen. She's going through that process at the moment over there to do that and to become a British citizen. I don't know. I think she kind of loves being American. You know, she spent, she had a baby shower over in New York.
Right.
I think she's pretty connected to the US. I think she's proud of her heritage. I'd like to see the baby be a dual citizen. It's a complete first. We've never had it before.
Right.
And kind of ironic when you think not that long ago you were kicking the Brits out. And
Just a 100 years.
half British royal.
Yeah, here we are. That's all part of the plan to take the monarchy.
Yeah, right.
We got to talk about one of the things you want to see is the baby be a, have that dual citizenship. I want to see the baby have these royal play dates.
Of course, the royal squad. We have to talk about who is going to be, the friends with this new baby Sussex. Of course, we have their cousin, the baby's cousin, Princess Charlotte and George. Prince George.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
And Prince Louis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, I think they'll be the sort of closest in age, and especially Prince Louis. You could imagine them now being two boys will grow up, you would imagine, very close to each other.
Oh, sure.
I mean, obviously, they're now out at Windsor, Harry and Meghan, but it's only about a 25-minute, 30-minute journey between the two places. And, you can imagine William and Kate will want to get out of London. They're very central London-based, in Kensington Palace. It's right smack bang in the middle of the city.
It is,
Although it's got its own grounds, it's not that private. Right. So you would imagine they would want to go and spend a bit of time in this tiny little cottage that Harry and Meghan are living in, this 10-bedroom cottage.
Right.
Frogmore Cottage. So funny. But yeah, I would imagine that there'll be a lot of play dates there, definitely.
Well, we know that Jessica Mulroney, Meghan's BFF, she's got twin boys.
Yeah.
Brian and John, they're 8, and then their daughter Isabel, who's 5. So a little bit of an age difference there, but they're absolutely going to hang.
Of course.
Yeah. I know, it'll be nice to see, and we'll just have to see how much access we get to the new royal baby, the new Earl, because I guess they might choose to really, once they've introduced this new baby to the world, might kind of keep him quite private. I don't know. We really don't know how they're going to play it at this point.
Yeah.
If I were them, I probably would shield the little boy a little bit.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If I'm honest. But they might not choose to, and it depends how the press are with them. So far, the press, I do feel, have been a bit more respectful of Harry and Meghan. And I think you'll remember very early on into the engagement, Harry made that statement via Kensington Palace, where he basically asked the press to back off.
Back off, I remember. It was all the negative press that she
and the trolling she was getting on social media, and that had never happened before. It was a real, kind of a shocker, really, when he made such an official statement that way through social media via Kensington Palace. But I feel since then they have backed off a little bit and been a bit more respectful. So, maybe because of that, they will be a bit more open.
Well, one thing we do know is that this baby is going to be surrounded by love from their aunties. They have a lot of options for aunties. You talked about Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
A great option. Gayle King, Priyanka, Serena Williams, Amal Clooney.
I bet you'll be getting more American celebrities in your tabloids now. Just because of the access that Meghan Markle has had and because of her career as an actress.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, she brings with her that whole celebrity side that, and in honesty, I'm not sure the Queen has ever been overly keen on mixing the two. And I mentioned her sister earlier, Princess Margaret, now no longer with us. She was very into hanging out with celebrities and would be seen at a lot of celebrity parties and stuff. And I feel like the Queen kind of looked down on that a little bit and didn't like to mix the two worlds. But I think if she has any sense, which I think she does, and she's quite in tune, she's realised that the royals have got to modernise, and I think she sees this as a way that they can do that, by mixing the two worlds within reason, the celebrity world and the royal world,
So what you're telling me is that you think Beyonce and the Queen will be hanging out.
Let go of Beyonce.
I'm just saying, it seems natural. Beyonce,
I'm kind of obsessed with that idea. I don't know why. I just think it would just be brilliant.
You may be onto something. Who knows? Anything is possible nowadays.
The Queen of America and the Queen of England getting together.
Yeah, well, and it'll be a celeb-filled christening, I'm sure, the same way the wedding was as well when that actually happened. So, it's different times, definitely. And I've just felt it covering the royals over the years, even from William and Kate right up until this. It's shifted somewhat, We're talking about such different topics. And like you say, celebrities like we were just talking about, that was unheard of not many years ago. So... yeah, it gives us more to talk about. It keeps the royals in the news. They're happy. It is a firm. It's a machine, It generates so much tourism and excitement around the world. And it's above politics and all of that we get so bogged down in every day, don't we?
True.
We want something that's just consistent. And that's why I quite like the royal family, to be honest, because they're always there. They are, like a positive influence on the country. They never get involved in politics, even though the Queen could do. She never really chooses to. And we've got your lovely president going over to visit the Queen soon, haven't we, for a state visit?
Yeah. Interesting.
You know what, James? That's a story for another
day. Take a sip of the coffee, dinner. Thank you so much, James. Great talking, baby steps.
On that bombshell.